What's good, Vision gang? You already know what it is. This is your boy DaVizion, and I'm back again with another MMA reaction. Today's video is by Clenched Teeth, y'all. They really come through with the documentaries, and they got some fighters on there that some of the other bigger content creators don't got, and I really fucks with Clenched Teeth, y'all. Today's video is Nick Diaz, 9 most savage moments, y'all. The Diaz brothers, very popular, known for being some of the most original badasses in the UFC. Definitely got a picture of Nick and Nate Diaz under the definition of badass in the dictionary somewhere out there, y'all. They, I haven't seen a lot of them, but reputation means a lot to me, and they got a badass reputation. They're known for being tough. I know Nate Diaz defeated Conor McGregor. That's a big deal, y'all. Beat one of the best ever. Nick Diaz, I don't know much about him, but I'm really excited to see some of his most savage moments. Big documentary with Nick and Nate I'm gonna get to by Patrick Gavia one of these days. Definitely gonna react to that. We reacted to Nick today, and then later on this week we gonna react to Nate Diaz, and then in the future we will hit that documentary up. But I'm done talking, y'all. Let's go ahead and get right into the video, y'all.
The last time we caught a glimpse of Nick Diaz doing his thing was at UFC 266.
266. That wasn't too long ago.
Longtime crowd pleaser went head-to-head with ex-champ Robbie Lawler.
Okay.
In a long overdue rematch, 17 years after their first face-off.
Okay, that's a long overdue rematch then.
He bit the dust when
damn,
knockdown, just 1 minute into the third round.
Dang.
Fast forward to now, and
so did he retire?
39-year-old Diaz has been making headlines with rumors of a comeback. His coaches had folks believing he'd be back in action by the end of 2022, but still nothing. Diaz's teammate, Jake Shields.
Has he come back yet? Did he make a comeback? I'm not 100% sure. I've only been watching since like November, so somebody let me know.
Did mention in a January interview that he's been hitting the gym daily, keeping the comeback chatter alive. When you think of a Nick Diaz fight, 3 things come to mind: non-stop excitement, in-your-face taunting, and a whole lot of swagger. Diaz has made a name for himself by wowing fans both in and out of the cage. So, while we wait for his triumphant return, let's stroll down memory lane with 9 of his most epic career moments.
He forced Shamrock to retire?
Frank Shamrock,
damn, okay.
Was the first to snatch the UFC middleweight championship, later renamed the UFC light heavyweight championship. He was the top dog in UFC's pound-for-pound rankings during his time as...
Is Frank and Ken Shamrock the same person, or are they brothers? Like, what the heck? Someone let me know down below, because that's confusing.
Middleweight champion. Shamrock's impressive resume also includes titles from other martial arts organizations, such as the Interim King of Pancrase, the World Extreme Cage Fighting Light Heavyweight Championship, and the Strikeforce Middleweight Championship. Many see him as one of the first well-rounded MMA fighters, evolving from a ground-focused approach to a more versatile style. But it was Nick Diaz who brought Shamrock's career to a close. They faced off in April 2009
Strikeforce,
at a Strikeforce event in Shamrock's hometown, San Jose, in California. Most folks thought Shamrock would use his striking advantage to outdo Diaz. However, the 179-pound catchweight fight belonged to Diaz from the start. Diaz showcased his trademark skills, trash-talking and dishing out punishment. Unfazed by Shamrock's offense, he taunted him throughout the fight, urging him to stay aggressive.
Okay, nice southpaw jab
in the first round, catching a leg kick and bringing Shamrock down. Despite Shamrock's brief escape, Diaz soon had him on the mat again. The second round was all about him landing powerful strikes.
Hey, he landed nice blows.
Shamrock's desperate lunging strikes couldn't touch his opponent, who maintained distance while landing his own punches. A devastating body blow resulted in a second-round TKO. Shamrock vowed to return for a rematch, but he never did. This marked Diaz's
got him out of there, retired him,
and ultimately sent Shamrock into retirement.
Hospital fight with Joe Riggs.
Former MMA fighter Joe Riggs, now with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, has competed in the UFC, World Extreme Cage Fighting, Strikeforce, Bellator, Pro Elite, M1 Global, and King of the Cage. He took on Nick Diaz at UFC 57 in February 2006 amidst heated trash talk and rivalry.
UFC 57, that was a while ago.
Round 1 showcased Diaz's signature unorthodox boxing, which left Riggs reeling. However, Riggs managed to hang on, enduring Diaz's relentless trash talk in round 2. Both that round and the third were close calls. After the fight, Joe Rogan predicted Diaz had done enough to take the win, while Eddie Bravo scored the fight for Riggs, who had broken both of his hands and ended the fight covered in blood.
Damn, he broke both his hands? Sheesh, was still
decision winner.
Swinging away, huh?
And after the decision was announced,
tough motherfucker.
Riggs and Diaz engaged in a very one-sided embrace with little interest from Diaz. In the aftermath of the grueling fight, both fighters were transported to a nearby hospital. Diaz, clearly upset with the judge's decision, continued trash-talking Riggs, who was on a gurney awaiting medical attention. The confrontation escalated when Diaz sucker-punched Riggs, resulting in a lost tooth, blood from a dislodged IV, and Riggs defecating on himself. Riggs also alleged
he shit on himself?
Diaz joined in, forcing him to fight both Diaz brothers while covered in his own shit and blood.
That's
Finally,
fucked up. That is fucked up.
And police arrived to break up the altercation. The fact that we have no video of this brawl is the most disappointing aspect of this whole thing.
Yeah, true. The white mare.
Marius Zaromskis, a Lithuanian professional mixed martial artist, competes in the welterweight division. With a career starting in 2000, he has fought for Strikeforce, Cage Rage, and Bellator, among others. Zaromskis is known for his high-powered striking and fearless somersault kicks.
Somersault kick.
On January
it's not a rolling thunder?
There was no match for Nick Diaz. The two faced off against each other for the vacant first-ever Strikeforce welterweight title. At the time, there was a reason they called Marius a white mare. See, Zaromskis entered the bout having won 9 of his previous 10 fights.
That's impressive.
Including back-to-back vicious head kick knockouts. Diaz, on the other hand, was riding a 5-fight winning streak. The two fighters had intense exchanges, but Diaz's persistent boxing ultimately knocked Zaromskis down. Diaz capitalized on this moment, intensifying his assault and achieving a TKO at 4 minutes and 38 seconds, winning the Strikeforce welterweight championship belt. Looking back, the fight between Diaz and Zaromskis demonstrated Diaz's exceptional striking skills and unyielding spirit. The thrilling match not only established Diaz as a formidable contender in the welterweight division, but also gave fans a captivating performance that remains unforgettable.
Staggering Scott Smith,
a now retired American mixed martial artist, competed professionally from 2001 and took part in The Ultimate Fighter, The Comeback. He fought for organizations like the UFC, Strikeforce, Elite XC, and PFC, and was a World Extreme cage fighting light heavyweight champion. Both Diaz and Smith were celebrated for their fighting spirit, and their match on June 6, 2009 was a testament to that. Diaz showcased his boxing superiority throughout the bout, but Smith bravely stood his ground. In the second round, Diaz threw an astonishing 221 strikes, landing 125, compared to Smith's mere 5 successful hits. In the third round, Diaz managed to secure a rear naked choke, prompting Smith to tap out rapidly. In the face of Smith's never-say-die attitude, Diaz persevered, ultimately dominating the match and earning a well-deserved victory. This fight stands as another testament to Diaz's exceptional skill and the relentless drive that has made him a fan favorite throughout his career.
Five years marijuana ban. That's crazy.
The Nevada State Athletic Commission hit Diaz with a 5-year timeout from fighting. This suspension happened after he tested positive for marijuana.
Damn,
Post UFC
that's wild.
183 face-off with Anderson Silva. Oh, and let's not forget the accompanying $165,000 fine.
They fined them
Standing
that much
outside
for
the
weed?
Grant Sawyer State Office building in Las
Damn, they
Vegas,
crazy.
moments after the ruling, Diaz went full-on whistleblower, accusing every fighter of juicing up with steroids. It's crucial to note the context of MMA in September 2015. The UFC's anti-doping program was just a few months old, and there were doubts about the effectiveness of the U.S. anti-doping agency's efforts. But soon enough, USADA showed its muscle by dishing out a bunch of sanctions, backing up Diaz's claims. Keep also in mind that a month before Diaz's hearing, the same commission suspended former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva for 1 year after testing positive at the same event for multiple banned substances.
Wow, I didn't know that.
2 anabolic steroids.
That's crazy.
The disparity between the two punishments seemed unfair, and Diaz took notice. He later filed an appeal protesting the commission's decision, which led to a reduced ban of 18 months.
That's still crazy. 18 months for weed. For something that doesn't even make you better. It really makes you worse.
Bobby Lawler has
Maybe
been
it helps
in
your
the game
recovery,
since
but
2001. He has held championship titles for both the UFC and the Elite XC, on top of fighting in other big leagues like Strikeforce and Pride. Ruthless is his nickname, and that pretty much sums up his fighting style. When Diaz and Lawler first met at UFC 47 in 2004, they were just a couple of young guns. Diaz was 20 and Lawler was 22. Nobody really knew much about Diaz back then, so when he started trash-talking Lawler, it was a bit of a shocker. Diaz caught Lawler off guard with a right hook,
knocked his
then
ass
went on the
down.
attack. He kept taunting Lawler and even landed his famous Stockton slap.
The Stockton
Round 2
slap.
was just as wild as the
Wow.
first. It looked like Lawler would need a knockout to win, and he managed to grab the momentum for a hot second. But Diaz bounced back, traded strikes with Lawler, and then
put him on his
It
timber.
was one of Diaz's
Put him
most
down.
important wins.
Put that boy down.
BJ Penn is a total legend in the UFC. Before becoming an MMA star,
So he was doing
he was
jiu-jitsu?
the first non-Brazilian to win the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship
Oh, wow.
at black belt level. This dude's fought in the UFC and K1 in a bunch of weight classes, from featherweight to heavyweight. He's a former UFC lightweight and welterweight champ.
That was
one
a
of
bloody
only
mess right
fighters
there.
to win titles in multiple weight classes. He squared off against Diaz in 2011 at UFC 137. In a rare event, Diaz went about business without his usual antics as he and Penn put on a spectacular fight. The opening round played out as expected, with Penn's superior boxing skills countering Diaz's attacks and even securing a takedown. But Diaz turned the tables in the second
1-2.
round, showcasing his relentless cardio and trapping Penn against the cage. Penn made a valiant effort in the third round, but it wasn't enough to secure a victory.
Okay.
After the
He
fight,
got the win against
Diaz
BJ
uttered
Penn.
yet another one of his famous sound bites, yelling out,
"What's on your mind right now?"
I don't think George is hurt. I think he's scared. I think he's scared to fight everybody right now.
"What's up? Where you at, George?"
in reference to champion Georges St-Pierre.
So he
Diaz
fought
eventually
Georges
got and lost that
St-Pierre.
fight,
Okay.
which is not one of his greatest moments. But this was. Afterward, Penn was so beaten up and downtrodden, he announced his retirement in the cage.
Damn.
Though he did ultimately return for
Oh,
2 more
okay.
fights.
Okay. Damn, he kind of partially retired him for a second.
Anderson Silva is a total icon in the MMA world.
Yeah.
He's also
definitely.
a former UFC middleweight champion and holds the record for the longest title reign in UFC history. He left the UFC in 2020 to focus on boxing and is set to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame in July 2023. In 2015 at UFC 183, Silva and Diaz clashed in a fight filled with anticipation. Silva was stepping back into the octagon for the first time since a horrific leg break.
Oh,
at UFC
yeah.
168
That was
13
crazy.
months earlier. Meanwhile, Diaz was making his return after inking a new deal with the UFC. Given their immense popularity, this showdown was the most awaited bout on the card. As soon as the fight began, Diaz stormed the center of the octagon, dropped his gloves, and started barking at Silva. But what happened a minute in was so over the top that it's etched in every fight fan's mind. Diaz laid down on the mat and struck an unforgettable pose. He even turned his back on Silva, earning a warning from the official. Anderson Silva ultimately claimed victory via judge's decision. But it's Diaz's wild antics that make this fight
Wow.
truly memorable.
Turned his
Adding
back
to the
on him.
drama,
That's total
it was later
disrespect.
revealed that both Silva and Diaz failed drug
Oh, yeah,
tests,
that's when they failed on drug
resulting
tests.
in the fight being
Yeah.
declared a no contest.
So Silva got steroids and Diaz had weed, right?
Paul Daly is a former MMA fighter and kickboxer who's been in pretty much every organization you can imagine, from UFC to Bellator and everything in between. In 2011, he faced off against Diaz under the Strikeforce banner.
So this is the most badass moment, huh?
With trash talk, mean mugging, and threats flying, it was clear these two were ready to rumble. Daly, a knockout artist, was determined to show that Diaz's winning streak was just an illusion. Most people thought Diaz would have an easy win if he took Daly down, since Daly's ground game isn't the best. But Diaz wanted to prove he could outstrike one of the top welterweight strikers, so they kept it standing. And man, what a fight it was.
Okay.
For 5 minutes, they went at it.
So they went at it. They went at it, huh?
Shots from every angle.
Okay.
Both got knocked down and bounced back, with Daly's power on full display.
So they was going back and forth?
This attack eventually overwhelming him. This fight was the definition of non-stop action, as the momentum continuously shifted back and forth. Both fighters had their moments, but when it was all said and done, Daly was planted unconscious on the ground after a devastating combination, followed by a brutal ground and pound against the fence. When
he wasn't unconscious on the ground, though.
There was no doubt
he just got knocked down.
Round fight in this sport's history. Behind this momentum, Diaz would re-enter the UFC, where the aforementioned BJ Penn raided him, and we saw how that one went.
He beat his ass too. He was hot at that moment.
Is there a Diaz moment we missed that's stuck in your mind? Drop a comment below and let's chat.
Nice!
Alright, y'all, that was Nick Diaz 9 Most Savage Moments, y'all. Nick Diaz, definitely a beast, definitely a legend, definitely a bad motherfucker, the original BMF title holder. It wasn't no BMF title, but if it was, he would have had it. Definitely dope 9 savage moments. It's just too bad he had that suspension for 18 months. That's crazy just for weed. Honestly, that should be a W against Anderson Silva because of that. But hey, you know, it's just different times and they had different beliefs about stuff back then. I do believe that the UFC fighters now can smoke weed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's just crazy that back at that time he almost lost his career about it. You guys, if you've made it this far into the video and you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? You need to join Vision Gang now. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be first to see the videos while you're at it. They come out 4 days a week, 2 p.m. And make sure you guys jab that like button, send this video straight to the moon, y'all. As always, be safe, give it your all in whatever you're doing in life, and I'm gonna see you guys next time, because I am your boy DaVizion, and I'm out. Peace.
I got the vision, I had to leave my haters in the past. Told them good riddance, I don't have to prove that I cannot lose. They know that I'm winning, I don't have to prove that I got the juice. They know that I'm dripping, and I am not finished, cause I got the vision, I had to leave my haters in the past. Told them good riddance.